Thank you very much for coming along to this. My name is Clive Crook. I'm a writer with The Atlantic and National Journal and the Financial Times. And it's my great privilege to be on this platform this evening with Ayaan Hirsi Ali. I'm sure you know who she is and you know something about her. We're going to be talking about her experiences and her books for the next hour or so. The way I want to do this, I don't intend to monopolize the conversation. I'll ask some questions and we'll have a talk up here for maybe 15 or 20 minutes. And then I will start to see if there are questions from the audience. Let me just explain the ground rules for that. You see there are two microphones. 15 or 20 minutes in, I will start to look to see if anybody is standing at the microphones. And if anyone is, then I will give them an opportunity to make a comment or ask a question. If I don't see anybody there, I'll just keep going. I've got lots of questions. One other thing I want to mention, just in case I forget to at the end, is you may have noticed Ayaan's books are out there on a table, and I believe she'll be signing them at the end. That is an opportunity you won't want to miss. Okay, well, thank you again for coming. Ayaan, let me just run down the brief bio, more or less from the dust jacket of your books, just to remind people who you are. Born in Mogadishu, Somalia, and raised a Muslim. 1992, on the run from an arranged marriage, she fled to the Netherlands and was granted refuge there. Went to college, worked for the Dutch Labour Party. After 9/11, denounced Islam, became a member of the Dutch Parliament, wrote a script for a film called Submission, which dramatized Islam's oppression of women. Her collaborator, Theo van Gogh, was shortly afterwards savagely murdered by an Islamist on the streets of Amsterdam. Since then, Ayaan came to work and live in the US, where she, at the moment, is a fellow at the AEI in Washington, D.C. I'd like to start, first of all, to ask a question that would just gratify my own curiosity about how you're spending your time now. How are you living? Are you on a perpetual book tour, or are you writing another book, or what?
I spend my time at airports, in airplanes, and in hotels.
I see.
And then at sessions like this.
Okay.
I didn't expect Infidel to be the success that it has become now. It's been sold to 30 languages. So my initial plan when I came to the United States was, I'm going to get a rest, I'm going to get a normal life, I'm going to have free evenings, yes, free weekends, and I'm going to discover what the American way of life is. I already speak English, but I'm only going to improve it. And I'll avoid politics at all costs.
It's not working out very well.
No, it's not. And then, I was planned to stop with the book tour on the 19th of March. But for some strange reason, the book tour took off on the 19th of March. And ever since, I've been
on the road.
Yes. So shows that had fast declined when they were approached by Free Press are now calling to say, you can come. And then everybody with a capitalist mind in America tells me, you can't turn this down. You have to go to this session. You have to go to this engagement. People are now listening to your message. That's good in itself because it gives me the confidence to go on with what I have to say. Right. But I still have to write the next book, which is Shortcut to Enlightenment, and that's the one that I'm excited about Infidel, but I really am also excited about waking the Prophet Muhammad up in the New York Public Library.
Okay. Is it still in your mind to do more movies? I mean, Submission was really Submission Part 1, wasn't it?
I called it Part 1 because I wanted to make Part 2 and Part 3 and so on. Not because I know anything about movies and movie making, but I know everything about storytelling. What shaped me are stories and images. And when I was in Holland, and I was in Holland for 14 years, when people shared their stories with each other, and I saw the images, I thought this is the way to do it in the Muslim world.
I see.
So Part 1 was about women, and I wanted to do Part 2, and there's enough interest for it. There's just limited time.
I see. Maybe you should get together with Michael Moore. He knows how to promote a movie.
If I hadn't gone to Leiden, I would have done it the Michael Moore way. But here was a place, the University of Leiden, oldest university in the Netherlands, where they just beat into us It wasn't physical beating.
I'm glad
It
to
was
hear
all
it.
about facts, facts,
Right.
facts, facts. So I can't do it the Michael Moore way. I'd love to,
See,
but I can't.
the AI has already made its mark. Now, you left Holland with under threats to your life. Was that the principal reason you left? I mean, you were under tight security in Holland. You felt that would be an easier situation to deal with in the US. And what I'm really asking is, what kind of burden of security are you having to bear here?
The security issue and leaving Holland, coming here and considering the possibility of less issue was a bonus. Mm-hmm. But I had decided to leave parliament and politics because in the Netherlands I was a one-issue person, and the issue about Muslim women in the Netherlands, in Europe, I thought was extremely important.
Yes, yeah.
The issue of putting on the agenda cultural variables instead of just economic variables, instead of just saying people are poor. It was like, take personal responsibility. And there are, when we come as immigrants, people from the third world countries, yes, we are poor, but there are also things that we believe in. We have traditions, we have customs, we have our religion. These things make us behave in a certain way. To put that on the agenda in Holland was my priority. And by mid-2004, I had accomplished that. And I had to think about what am I going to do next. I understood very well that this was a global issue, and I understood that I had to do this in the United States. And I started to apply for jobs in the academic arena.
I see.
So I had decided that before 2005. And then in 2006, there was the issue with the house, there was the issue with the citizenship, and it was just, instead of leaving in May 2007, I left in May 2006.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you guarded now? I saw some very muscular men outside. I wondered if they were part of your retinue.
I'm not allowed to talk about security.
All right, okay.
It's the only censorship that I sort of comply with.
All right. Well, let's get to the books. Infidel, your autobiography, your memoir bears eloquent and shocking testimony to the brutality of the circumstances of your upbringing, what you had to put up with, and it paints Islam in a very, very bad light. But you've been at pains to emphasize, I've noticed in previous interviews, that your movement away from Islam was not a response to that brutality, as it were, to the revulsion that you felt at that. It was an intellectual decision. It was something that you'd worked out as intellectually the right thing. Perhaps you could tell us, if I understand that correctly, perhaps you could tell us something about what you mean by that.
I think when you're in the middle of brutality and when you're born into it, when you experience it, and when you're in a world where it's not only about brutality, people get killed. My grandmother believed in evil spirits. She had us gently mutilated and all that, but she was also a very loving, dear woman. Mm-hmm. And I understood that. So the terms of brutality, extremism, and so on, that didn't exist in my vocabulary before I came. But when you get, unlike my grandmother, unlike my mother, unlike a lot of people I know, when you get access to a lot of education, mental and especially intellectual stimulation, you get to really get in touch with your reason, then you no longer have an excuse to say, you know what, my grandmother has the excuse and the bliss which ignorance brings. Right. I don't have that excuse. So when on the 11th of September, bin Laden made a plea and said, if you are a true Muslim, stand up. Islam is being attacked. You have to stand up and defeat it. After having gone to university, after having taken account of the alternative, I no longer had a reason to say, you know what, I'm just going to put my head in the sand. He is right. I'm going to follow him, or I'm going to go into a paralysis of denial, or I'm going to make all sorts of excuses. When I opened the Quran and I saw his citations and I put it to what the Quran said in the Hadith and so on, I was like, yeah, I can't agree with this, and I don't want to agree with it. I think it's inhuman. That put me immediately on a mental discord with myself, with my upbringing, with my religion, that I was an infidel. And I had to deal with that. And I only want to tell everyone it's not easy.
I'm sure it isn't. It
No.
must be horrendously difficult. But let me just press on that a little further. I mean, was it